So on this topic of the braking, on your channel, you've talked about trail braking. I bet you said the word trail. How many times have you said the word trail brake?
I don't even want to know because people call me the trail braking guy.
Thousands.
Yeah, that is thousands. And I hate the term trail braking.
And I don't want to ruin it because there's very popular video. I'm not going to ruin it. But my point of this trail braking versus braking, when you're racing and when you're on the street, if you're riding a motorcycle on asphalt or dirt or whatever, braking is just braking. Like trail braking is a portion of the braking process.
I think it was a way to try to explain it in a time when a lot of programs were actively teaching against it.
Fair enough.
So the idea was we're going to trail up brake pressure as lean angle increases. That's all.
And that's the whole concept.
But you do that in your car. You do that in your,
You do it in your bicycle. You do it everywhere. Yeah. Like it's totally normal. So on the racetrack, nobody really talks about trail braking as a technique at the track.
It never comes out.
Now we're all doing it. It's standard. You may talk about when you trail off or how you trail off, but no one's like, oh, I don't do that. It's like, well, that's not how we do it out here, but it's not how you do it anywhere, frankly, if you care about the performance. So the whole reason of this, your front tire, if you go and figure out and actually draw a little circle on a piece of paper, if you park your tire on a piece of paper, then take a pen out and then drag the pen around the contact patch and see how tiny it is. It is scarily.
It is probably
less than the
size of the bottom.
Promise you it's less. Yeah. Unless you have a flat tire, that's your problem now. But if you have a properly inflated tire, you have a very small contact patch. But when you brake and squish the suspension into the tire, that contact patch grows naturally. Now the tires, your modern tires, are designed such that as I lean over, my contact patch actually gets bigger and bigger still if there's some pressure on the front tire. And I think everybody thinks that the contact patch, instead of being a little circle, it just grows wider. No, it grows significantly longer, actually. If you look at how the tire behaves, it actually gets really long and wide, giving you tons of rubber contact on the ground. All right. Now I'm coming into a corner, on the street, on the track, in the dirt. Doesn't much matter. You're going to brake your hardest in a straight line because the only thing you're asking of that tire is slowing you down. So I can brake very hard, the suspension compresses, the tire squishes and stretches out, and I get really good contact patch and a bunch of grip. Now, I'm loaded, the forks are compressed, 2/3 of the way down the stroke, maybe at the bottom of the stroke, whatever. The goal on track riding especially, but on street riding, is as you squish the fork down, think about maintaining that fork depth. Because if that fork depth, right, the spring's a certain rate of spring, the fork depth I'm here is an exact measurement of how much pressure is on that front tire, right? Because it's spring. If I can keep that steady as I trail off the brake and trade braking load on the tire for cornering load.
Right. And people forget about cornering load because you have that centripetal force, which is also pushing it down.
But if I can trade that perfectly smoothly, so I smash the fork down and as I lean in, if that never changes depth and I can keep that pressure on the front all the way until I have no brake pressure on, that's ideal because I'm getting the best grip I can out of the front. Now, why trail braking matters is if I brake really hard and smash the front end down, and then I let go of the brake and the fork stands back up, my contact patch shrinks, and then I lean in, it's very hard to balance getting the tire loaded again just from cornering.
Right.
It's much easier and safer to load it with the brakes first and then trade off brake force for cornering force.
And I think that's where a lot of people get afraid of the front for that very reason, right? We see it all the time. The most common reason we see a front end crash on the track or anywhere is an underloaded front tire. And it's at the moment where that brake is released too abruptly, the spring springs up, the contact patch shrinks before we have that cornering load applied.
Yep.
Right? I did a little short that had a little video of this where I just pointed the camera at the fork.
Yep.
And you could see it happen, and you see it like spring up, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of people are afraid of their front brake in the corner when, okay, you can overdo it. You can overdo anything, but it really is, you know, loading, and you're riding on more rubber.
Yep.
Is effectively what it is.
Yeah.
And even if grip is less than ideal, right? Because I always look at a technique. Does it work when the speed is up or when the grip is down? Because in my mind, those things are the same thing.
Yep.
Because what you're doing on the racetrack at a race, which I cannot do, you are riding at the absolute limits of grip. And fundamentally, that's the same thing as me riding on the top of a mountain pass when it's sleeting.
Yeah.
Right. I am at the edge of grip. And so I'm constantly trying to balance how much grip I have. And so I use the exact same techniques at a very different level.
The same deal.
To the same effect.
And this works in the dirt. I ride dirt bikes. It's not that different. When you load the front brake, you have a big long fork that compresses down. It squishes your tire and pushes the lugs into the dirt better. I get more grip.
Yeah.
If I'm coming into a banked corner of some kind, if I were to let go and spring back and now try to surf through there with no load on the front, it's very wishy-washy and very little feel and feedback. It's better to try to keep a bit of load into it as you go through.